So hi, my name is Vinay and you guys know me from Instagram as Wing Photography, and today we're talking about the Nanlite T87X. It's about a 1 meter long light, and I think it's a little better than the Pavotube 15C that I've been using for a while. Let's go. So this is the box this light comes in. It's a cardboard packaging. So the three buttons over here are the power button, the CCT hue button, and a dimmer button. So this doesn't have any knobs like how the Pavotube 15C does, and that is actually what makes it a lot more easier to use, a lot more straightforward that way. So you press and hold the power button and your light switches on. There you go. And right now it's currently on CCT mode. You want to change from CCT to HSI, you want to make it RGB, you just click the power button again and you're into HSI mode now. So how do you exactly change the settings that you want on the light? You just click on the CCT and hue button and you can just tap and click it, and your color array switches from all the spectrums of the RGB circle. So you can go from blue, you can go into purple, magenta and green, but the only problem is that you can only go in this circle and loop. So if you want to get from blue and you mistakenly went to green, you're gonna have to go all the way back around and come back to blue again. Now if you want to go back to CCT mode, you can do the same thing. Press the CCT and hue switch, tap, 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 and you can flick through the ranges from warm all the way to white. That goes from 2700 to 7500 Kelvin. So that's a nice CCT range that you have that you can use to move around in your CCT switch. Now the other button over here is the dimmer button. So regardless of whichever light mode that you're on, if you're on HSI or CCT, you can just click the dimmer button and you get 5 options basically. You have 0%, 20, 40, 60, 80 and 100s. That's 5 clicks and you can move around the range. So why I was saying this light is the easiest light to use out of the box is because once you take it out of the box, you have just 3 buttons and they help you do everything that you want with the light in the easiest way possible. In almost all of the scenarios that you'd want. You can flick to all the main colors in your HSI mode and you can flick through the ranges in your CCT mode as well. So now getting to the fun part. So the second best thing about this light is because it's a newer version of the Nanlite Pavotube setup, the software is different. That means you don't need the Nanlink box to connect to this light. You can just use the app, directly download the app onto your phone, iPhone, Android, doesn't really matter. You put the app into your phone and you can directly connect to this light, and that's what we're going to do right now. So you can download the app, you reset the light by pressing and holding all the 3 buttons. It'll appear on the app and all you have to do, well, is just connect to it. The real way to actually unlock the full potential of the Pavotube T87X or the lightsaber is the fact that you download the app and then you can do a lot of cool things with this light, which I'll just show you in a moment. So now that my light's connected to my phone, I can switch it on and switch it off right here from the button. If I go into the modes exactly, there are a slew of a lot of cool things that you can do. You can of course switch on the CCT mode, which you can change and control the dimmability of the light, you can control the temperature, and you can do it in more finer tuning than you actually can from the light. Straight out of the box, the light is extremely simple to use, but once you connect to the app, you can unleash the more intricate and complex features of this light. You can make it go from a very easy to use thing to a very interesting to use thing. So now we're in the CCT mode. Another feature that the app lets you do is actually control the green and magenta hue of the CCT. So you can really dial in exactly what you want and how you want to control the key light on your subject, the fill light on your subject, or exactly what you're trying to do. So I think the green and magenta gesture is actually very interesting because even the Pavotube 15C does not have this. In CCT mode, you can just adjust the CCT range and you can adjust the dimmability. So you know what? Point 1 for the T87X. You can actually move on to different modes. You can of course, you have the full color wheel spectrum over here. Select whichever color you want and the light changes to, well, that color. So it does all that. And then you know what, you can again control the dimmability of the light, and you can even just key in the exact values of hue and saturation if that's what you want to do. So in that complex mode, you can control these feature sets of the light from the app a lot better. Moving on to the effects that this light has. That is going to be a while if I actually go down and talk about all of them. So let's just try a few of them. This is a hue loop. In this you can change the dim of the hue loop, the hue from which range to which range does it go. You can also control the saturation. You can make the speed slower of the hue, or you can make the speed faster of the hue. It gives you a lot more control if you want to actually use this light through the app. Now again, in the effects itself, you have hue loop, you have interval loop, you have pulse, which I think is a very interesting effect because you can use this as like a TV sort of vibe that's going on. So if I just switch off the key light real quick, you can have this light in front of your scene on the side over here, and it's almost like you're watching TV. So the pulse effect, actually I have used it in a few of my videos as well, and that kind of gives you a lot of control of what you want to do in the scene, especially if you want lights to be pulsing. I don't like the strobe effect that much. I actually prefer the pulse effect, and the fact that you can control so many things about the pulse effect from the app itself. So you have police car, you have paparazzi, and you have all that cool stuff. But the thing is, this light is not just an RGB light, it's an ARGB light. So that means you have RGB arrays on this, and what that means is you can go to a mode called the pixel effect mode, which is not at all there in the Pavotube 15C. It's actually in the X series Pavotube lights, and you get that in this budget-friendly light. So this is basically the pixel effect. Like I said, this light is an ARGB light. It's got arrays of RGB on it, and what that means is that each node of the light can be controlled to be a separate color, and you just don't have the option to just, you know, have just one color all the way through the light. You can have multiple colors through the light, and that itself introduces a lot of really cool things that you can do with it. And you know, they're more for aesthetic, and they're more for a kind of vibe that you're trying to create. These lights are excellent practical lights. You can put them in the frame, you can put them in the scene, because they are so minimalistic. And the thing is, they're so long, so you can actually have them come into the frame and be off frame and be set that way. With this kind of an effect at the back of your studio, at the back of your set, at the back of the frame that you're shooting, and you can just have this sort of an effect going through your scene, depending on the kind of mood you want. You can have two different colors. You can have red, you can have green. Let's try and do that. I love the whole red and green vibe, and I'm just gonna try and do that on this currently. So now you basically have this red and green effect. You're like, why the hell would I want to do this in my scene ever? Now the thing is, because this light's so long, you can actually have it be placed above the scene. Wherever you're looking, you can just place it a little above the scene, out of the frame, and you'll get a red light on your right subject, and you'll get a green light on your left subject. And that itself is such a versatile feature that you can use to just use one light to get two different moods into the frame, whether you want to key them or whether you want to fill them from the back. And I think that's just spectacular. That's something I wish the Pavotube could do, because I usually use the Pavotube. Sometimes I've used it with two subjects, and I would just sometimes wish that the light did two different colors, because I mean, it does have the RGB setup on it, but the ARGB setup is where the real cool stuff happens. So this light does all of that. The beauty about this light is not the fact that it can do all this. The beauty about it is that it can do all this and still be budget friendly. This light is an extremely great light and a great option for beginners to pick up, because you can do a lot of things with this. You can light up your scene in any kind of way that you want. You can do a lot of effects on video. The fact that you can do the pixel shift effect on this in the ARGB setup just gives more versatility of this light in video. For photos, it won't be that much, because you know, the whole effect is about the light pixels moving through the light. And yeah, you know what? If you have this light as a beginner, you can use this for your light painting setups. It's a lot of surface area. So if you shoot portraits, you can use this as a nice key light. If you shoot cars, you can use this again as a key light, as a fill light. You can even do some light painting, composite it together. You can do a lot of fun things with just this one light, just because of the fact that it has not just an RGB panel, but an ARGB panel, and you get it in this kind of a convenient package. You can control with your phone. So you can have these lights away from you in the background, away next to the subject, and you can control them with your phone. You can control 4, 5 of these lights together, set them on the same channel for the option. For the kind of price that you're paying for this light, I think it's unbeatable, it's unmatchable. Nevertheless, the last great point I think about this light is how I wish I will be using it in the future is as a nice lamp. It's a beautiful lamp that you can put in your house. And on the corner, you have a nice 1/4-inch screw thread over here. Get a nice light stand, screw this light on, put it on the corner of your house, connect it with your phone, sorted. Beautiful ambient aesthetic. And that's the last great thing I want to make about the Pavotube T87X. It's a beautifully aesthetic for your house.